Hello, today's video will cover how utilities are handled in ORD in contrast to how they were handled before with SS4 and SS10, following the FDOT procedures. Prior to ORD, you would change your you'd get your features, like this example I have here from your survey. This is the existing features for utilities, some water mains and sewer lines and buried telephone cable. And what you would use is the feature definitions and apply and set features. Well, you'll see the first utilities aren't even available here, and the whole process has changed, and it's actually much simpler and more straightforward. The UTEX file will eventually go away, and you just grab wherever the surveyors place it. For existing, and then it goes completely away for proposed. So what happens now is you will create a model for your utilities. So your first step will be under our Open Roads Modeling Workflow. We'll go to the FDOT tab, and we will create a new file. You'll go to your roadway disciplines, roadway design files, and we're going to select a model file. And we're going to create, we'll name it EX Utilities. So these are our existing utilities. And I'll place a dash before and after the names, just separated so it has the MODRD prefix and the O1 sequence suffix. This will be the first one you selected for your job. So like the county you're in, where you're creating it, so it gets set up. Everyone should be familiar with this process already. And click Create Open File. I'm going to have this attached to my current workspace that I'm working in. And I create this new file. So the process has changed. You don't just use that 2D file, that util file. Once we're in the file, close this. But I do need that information. I need the graphic information. So I'm going to reference that. And you want two things that have to be referenced to this 3D model for your utilities. First, obviously, the file that contains all our utility information, which was that UTEX file. And secondly, we need to reference our terrain model. We need 3D, the actual surface, your tin, what used to be called a tin, but it's now the terrain model. That's provided in our survey, and that is in the GDM RD01 file. Fit view, so you see all this information. And now that we have the files referenced, and the terrain model reference, go to the terrain model, you have to make it active. So select your element selection, click on the frame, hover over so you get the information, set this as active. You want to set it as the active terrain model. I had already, here, it'll appear like we have now the terrain model is active. I also like to go over to the properties and override the symbology, so that if I want to click on it twice, you can double click or you can do the drop down. Just so I override the symbology, so if I want to show the triangulation or whatnot. Next step is you need to activate the 3D model. So hold down the right mouse button, go over to View Control, and pull up your Plan and 3D View. And you can fit view both your models. You can go ahead and, if you want, rotate your 3D model so you get a 3D perspective. And save your settings, just so if you exit the file, it will come back the way you left it. And we now need to go ahead and start our process for actually placing these utilities that we have out here. And I'll go to a section. I have, we have 3 different utilities. I'll go place each one. We need to actually process this and get it into the file. And we also want the 3D, right? Before you had to select, identify each line, apply the feature type, then you have to create a profile, drape the profile, whatever depth you wanted, if you knew it, or a standard depth, say -3 feet. So actually draw it into your cross section and then into the 3D. Well, this is all accomplished much easier. But this is now a pseudo workflow. So you come over to your open roads modeling workflow, drop down and go to the drainage and utilities workflow. And we're going to be in the layout tab and in the layout section of the layout tab. The first thing you want to do in this 3D file, once you get into any 3D file, so you get that information logged, you have just hit the place node dialog, and this is going to basically bring the workspace and add it to this file. And then every time you open this file, if there's any updates, it'll refresh it. So it's telling you this action will create the utility model in the design file, and you can't undo this after, obviously, once it's done. So click yes, and what's going is adding all this information to this model. And this is all the preferences, all the feature types that we're going to be utilizing. Okay. Then once it's completed, you're now ready to go. And you'll be primarily using the extract graphics feature here. So click on extract graphics. And the dialog changes for your method. You have two modes. You can do a selection or utility filter. Let's just go selection. We'll do the selection option. Since I don't know what all the elevations is, like our first run, I don't know what the elevations for each of these are. We're just going to go with a standard -3 feet below the terrain model. We're not going to create a trench. There's no design stage currently. So now it's just select what your feature type is. So you hit the drop down, and these are the feature definitions basically. They're now over here. So I'm going to open this up. I want the conduits. I will go to storm sewer, storm water, culvert. Yeah. Actually, I got to remember where everything is. Wastewater. Go existing. We'll go force main, and these are B. So we'll go over and select our force main. Have some patience. Existing force main, and hover over, you see B, C, and D. We'll select B. Gives us a prefix, and you can specify your size. Say I'll do some at 12-inch. And then you come over here, and the first thing is, like all tools in ORD, you have to data point either or reset to follow commands. So the first thing is we'll data point on our selection method, and then it's asking you to locate the elements. So let's select a couple of these. Say we'll select this one, and you see these are multiple segments. These are multiple segments. And once you finish selecting them, just hit reset. And then it's asking you to select for your active terrain. You select the active terrain or reset to the one for the active one that we have. So you just hit a reset, the right mouse button. And now we're clicking through each of the prompts that we set up already. So we'll go ahead, data point to accept the -3 feet. Data point to accept the no for the trench. And let it do the processing. And you'll see it has now drawn these in. And wherever there was a line segment, it's placed a node. So now we already have them in our 3D space. Let's go place a few, say a 24-inch. So 24-inch, and I'll select, say at data point, select the selection method. Now let's select each of the segments. and then reset. To accept, we'll reset to accept the terrain, data point, let it process, so it's not going to draw the other segments. It didn't accept the size. I'll show you how to change the size in a second. Let's select another feature. Let's go and place some sanitary. And I think there's a B as well. Buried. Where are they? Here. Sanitary, right here. I will select the selection method. And then let's locate the elements. Right on top of each other makes it difficult to select. Let's see, where's some more sanitary lines to select. And once you've selected them, hit reset. Again, reset it for the active terrain, data point, let it process. So we'll now draw in our sanitary lines. And let's go some buried telephone. So this is communications, existing, telephone, buried. And let's select this first one. And we'll select the selection method. Let's select some elements. Then we'll reset once we finish selecting them. We'll reset the active terrain. My mistake, I actually bumped the mouse into the keyboard. Let's do that again, extract. All same values, existing telephone, line buried, okay, yeah, we have the same. So quickly, accept selection method. Let's select the elements again. I inadvertently bumped my mouse against the laptop. But it's a relatively easy operation to do. And then I've got a few. Let's hit reset, reset. We'll accept the -3, accept no trenching, let it process, and then let it draw the buried telephone cable. And I'll reset to end the selection process, and then now we have our cables. Now if I needed to change the diameter of any of them, I can just simply select it, select the line. So go to the properties and go to open utility properties. Click on this and then come over to the subsurface utility. Scroll down to where you have the utility footprint and say this was the 12 foot. I actually wanted that to be 24 foot. Okay, in 24, hit enter, and you'll see it changes the diameter of that segment. And you do that for anyone that you've inadvertently did wrong. With that, I conclude how to do utilities in ORD. Thank you very much.